Okay, so get this, guys. We're going on a deep dive today into the world of baby names.
Baby names, huh?
Yeah, baby names. You think it's all like, oh, so cute and adorable.
Right.
But it turns out there are some pretty interesting controversies and legal battles that can erupt. So, like, recently in Germany, a couple got banned from naming their child Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Lucifer, can you believe
I
that?
mean, that's a pretty strong name, I guess you could.
So we're going to look into why that happened, and we're going to look at some other really crazy baby naming controversies. You know, it actually tells you a lot about cultural norms and, I don't know, anxieties. So, I mean, I've got to say, like, the baby Lucifer thing, it's kind of shocking, but it's also kind of funny, right? So can you tell us a little bit about, like, how is it even possible that they could get banned from naming their kid that?
Yeah, so in Germany, unlike some other countries, they have laws that are designed to protect the child's well-being.
Okay.
And that includes their name.
Interesting. So it's not just like parents have total freedom.
Right, exactly.
So, okay, so the name could be harmful.
Yeah.
Is that like a real legal thing?
Yeah, it is. They have these civil registrars in Germany who are called Standesbeamte.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Standesbeamte. And they review every single birth name.
Wow.
And they can actually reject a name if they think it's going to lead to, like, ridicule, social disadvantage, or psychological harm for the child.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's all based on this principle of Kindeswohl.
Kindeswohl. What's that?
Yeah, it's German for well-being of the child.
Okay, well-being of the child. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess Lucifer probably crossed that line.
Right, yeah, I think they probably thought so.
But, you know, it's not just Lucifer. There's a whole bunch of other names that have been rejected in Germany. And some of them, well, I'm not even sure how to describe them.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting list.
Yeah. So we're talking like Satan, Judas, Lenin. Okay, those kind of make sense.
Yeah, you can see why those would be rejected, yeah.
Yeah, but then it goes to like Gucci,
Gucci. McDonald's, like the fast food.
like the fast food, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's one, I don't even know how to say this, Bierstubel. Bierstubel, which is apparently like a beer garden.
Wow, a beer garden. Okay.
So what is going on with this list? It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I think each one of these names, when they get rejected, it tells us something different about German culture and, like, what they're worried about.
Okay.
So, like, the religious names, you know, Satan, Judas, they're seen as blasphemous, right?
Yeah.
And the political figures, like Lenin, too controversial.
Oh, okay.
And then the brand names, just frivolous, you know? Like, why would you do that to your kid?
Right. So it seems like they're trying to find this balance between freedom of expression, but also, like, what's appropriate.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's pretty tricky. You know, I can't help but wonder, like, what are these parents thinking? The ones who are choosing these, like, really out there names.
Right.
Like, are they just trying to rebel? Are they trying to be unique?
Yeah, what's the motivation?
Are they just totally clueless?
I think it's probably a mix. You know, some parents probably just want to shock people, right?
Right.
And then others, you know, maybe they genuinely think that it's a cool name or a meaningful name, and they just don't. Like, think about how it's going to affect their kid 20 years down the road.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so then you have a name like Adolf.
Oh, yeah.
You'd think that would be like a hard pass, right?
Yeah, we think so, yeah.
Given the history.
Of course, yeah.
But it's not always rejected.
That's right, yeah.
How does that work?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a tough one. It's a really unpopular name. Like, there was this YouGov survey, and it found that 89% of Germans are against it. But sometimes they do allow it. But here's the thing. They don't allow it if the parents are suspected of being neo-Nazis.
Oh, wow.
So it really shows you that it's not just about the name itself, but it's about, like, the message and the context.
Yeah.
And the history, of course.
So it's like the name gets all this, like, extra baggage.
Exactly.
Interesting. And this kind of connects to how names can, like, become loaded with meaning.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And, like, a lot of times that's because of pop culture or media.
Definitely, yeah.
So, like, there's this example, Kevin. Not a popular name in Germany.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently it's because of the movie Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Yeah. And, like, people see it as a lower class name.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that happens.
Yeah. Pop culture can totally change, like, how people think about names.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen with other names too, like Alexa.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like the Amazon thing.
Yeah. Nobody wants to name their kid that anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's dropped in popularity.
And, I mean, even Greta, like, the name Greta has kind of gone down.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe because of Greta Thunberg?
Yeah, maybe. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how like a name can become so connected to a person or a product or like a thing.
Right, yeah.
So, okay, so we've talked about all these names that you can't use in Germany.
Yeah.
What are German parents actually naming their kids?
Right.
Like, what are the popular names?
Well, in 2024, the most popular baby names in Germany were Emily and Noah.
Emily and Noah.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are like pretty classic.
Yeah, they're pretty safe choices, I would say.
Pretty safe choices, yeah.
You know, they don't have the same baggage as some of the other names that we were talking about.
That's true.
So it's interesting to think about like why those names are so appealing and what values they might represent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think, like, this whole deep dive, it's been really eye-opening. Yeah, because you think about baby names, and you think, oh, just pick a cute name.
Right.
But it's so much more than that.
It is, yeah.
It's about the law. It's about culture. It's about history.
Yeah.
And it's about, like, personal beliefs.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, you hit it on the head earlier, like, we're looking at baby names, and it's almost like we're looking at, like, these cultural anxieties.
Right. Like, what are we afraid of?
Exactly.
What do we value?
Yeah, and like, it makes you think, what names are taboo in, my own culture?
Right, yeah.
And, like, why?
It's a good question.